Welcome to Prime Sports tonight with me, Razak Musbao, and we start with the breaking news coming from the Elections Committee of the Ghana Football Association's elections slated for this month, later this month on 27th of September. What we are gathering is that George Afriyie, the only contender to the incumbent Kete Crick, who has been disqualified by the Elections Committee, and a statement was released and was sent to him via mail, which Joy Sports have had copy of, and in it states a wide range of reasons for which George Afriyie has been disqualified from partaking in this very contest, which is at the moment slated for September 27. Now, joining me is my colleague with Insura FM, Fifi Manfred, and he has been studying the reasons that has been given by the Elections Committee of the Ghana Football Association as to why George Afriyie is not qualified to participate in these elections. And of course, what this means is that Kete Crick will have to run unopposed in the election slated for September 27. Fifi, thanks so much for making time to join us. This is big breaking news. I'm sure you have gone through this document. Can you bring us up to speed on why the Elections Committee deemed George Afriyie unfit to participate in this year's elections as far as the office of the president is concerned?
Thank you very much, Musbao. Like you said, I've tried to skim through the documents that has been sent to me, and that has been also sent to Mr. George Afriyie on his dismissal or his inability to contest for the next GFA elections. By means of contest, let our listeners and viewers know that George Afriyie has contested GFA elections before. This was not going to be the first time he contests. He would have contested a GFA election. In fact, he did contest the last one as well. And this time, the Elections Committee or the GFA say that they are sorry to let him know that they cannot allow him go on with that bid for two major reasons. And the first reason is that his nomination had breached, or he had breached Article 13(2)J of the GFA 2019 statutes. And of course, I read Article 13(2)J of the GFA Statutes Committee, and it states that for whichever person or officials that will nominate any presidential candidate should have been brought out by any of the clubs who are members of the GFA. Now, these members are supposed to be at least signatories of the club or have been authorized.
Well, we seem to have lost Fifi briefly there. We'll reconnect to him as he shares with us the reasons given by the Election Committee for the disqualification of George Afriyie. And Ellie, you just saw that statement which we projected on the screen.
By these clubs, to the extent and represent these clubs in signing any league. So, these, first of all, Article 13(2)J essentially says that whoever any club will nominate to represent them should be able to go into a legal representation for these clubs with any third-party person when it comes to this. Apart from that, also, second one, it says that the failure to provide the required number of Ghana Football Association members to support your candidature. And if you go through, they've broken them down into sections and subsections. In fact, first of all, Mr. George Afriyie was nominated by Susubribi, a club in the Eastern region, I suppose. And then after that, 5 other members of the GFA went on to accept and then support that.
Endorse his nomination.
Clubs, yes, endorse the nomination. That's the right way. New Edubiase, Brecum Chelsea, Aduana Football Club, Brecum City, and then Victory Club. In fact, there is a little problem with Victory Club, which proposed Mr. Jeffrey Asare as the signatory or somebody has been authorized by the club. Now, the Elections Committee said that when they went to the Auditors General and then they tried to find out who the directors of Victory Club are, Mr. Jeffrey Asare's name wasn't there. In fact, they also say that through conversations via WhatsApp and whatnot, Mr. Jeffrey Asare himself did confirm that he isn't a director of the club. And of course, they also say in a part, very, very low, says, on your nomination form, he indicated that the FGFA member was Mr. Jeffrey Asare. However, the records of Victory Club from the Office of the Registrars of Companies revealed that the only directors of the club are Mr. Leslie Kuku Bartels and Angela Efa. Angela Efa, who is a secretary. The committee has also confirmed from the records submitted to the GFA by Victory Club that Jeffrey Asari was neither listed as an authorized signatory of the club, nor was he registered in the FIFA Connect system. Now, if you go to Article 13.2J, there is a last part that says that between 30 days prior to the filing of this nomination, if any club decides to change whoever their signatory is, whoever they authorize to represent them in that particular time, they should be able to write to the GFA. Now, the elections committee said when they went to the GFA General Secretary and they sought to ask if this club, Victory Club, had changed their signature, they said no. Mr. Jeffrey Asari's name hasn't been submitted to them. And of course, when they checked from the Registrars General also, realized that Mr. Jeffrey Asari isn't a director of the club. So now, that is the major bone of contention.
So, Fifi, the major bone of contention is the person who endorsed George Afriyie's candidature from Victory Football Club, right?
Yes. A major form of bone of contention is Mr. Jeffrey Asari, Mr. Jeffrey Asari, who endorsed George Afriyie from Victory Football Club. Very, very important. And to him, very, very important.
And substantially, that is the reason why George Afriyie has been disqualified.
Yes, substantially. That is one of the main reasons why Mr. George Afriyie has been disqualified.
Interesting. But, I mean, in terms of analysis, what does this mean? George Afriyie is out of the race, but is there room for him to appeal this decision? And what kind of room is there? And within which time frame can he appeal this decision and ensure that he's back in the race to contest against Kete Kweku come September 27?
Yes, there is room for Mr. George Afriyie to contest this decision from the GFA Elections Committee, but he has 3 days upon he receiving this email to write back to them his willingness or not to appeal this decision. I'm sure he would want to do that. Like I mentioned earlier, Mr. Afriyie has contested GFA elections, not the first time, not the second time. I mean, he's a stalwart in Ghana football administration. He's a big name. He was, like you mentioned, the only contender to the incumbent, Mr. Kete Kweku. And then this unfortunate news to him has happened to him. He definitely would want to contest it. Mind you, the last time it was GFA election, Mr. Wilfred Osei Palmer was also in something like this where he ended up not contesting the GFA election in the long run. So yes, Article 13 is a big one for him. The fact that members who propose him also are not seen to be directors of the club, especially the name of Mr. Jeffrey Asari has been mentioned. So yes, I'm sure he will appeal in the next 3 days, hopefully.
Well, so he has 3 days at least to appeal the decision before the contest does take place. But I mean,
the big problem, however, is that Musbao, Ghana has a crunch game tomorrow against the Central African Republic. Trust you me. I mean, the football conversation of this country is going to go at almost every length tomorrow in case Ghana fail to get that ticket to go through. There are also people who say that, yes, maybe this is the right time because there's a Black Stars conversation. If Ghana is able to win, then nobody really will worry about such a thing. But I'm very, very sure that the camp of George Afriyie will sit back, they will see their lawyers, they will look into it, and then they will get back to the Ghana Football Association Elections Committee.
Yeah, because, I know the association released a statement that they've suspended the timeline of the elections, of course, which speaks to when the results will be released, etc. The hearing of that injunction case brought by Confise was supposed to be heard today. We understand that has also been adjourned to 2 weeks from now. So it was quite surprising to see this result, released. I mean, but beyond the presidential, vetting results, though, have you picked, information relative to other officers? Are there individuals who have suffered disqualification, or at the moment everyone has gone through with the exception of George Afriyie?
Yeah, at the moment it's everyone but Mr. George Afriyie who has suffered this unfortunate who has received this unfortunate email from the Ghana Football Association Elections Committee. Other members, like you said, the roadmap to the election has been put on hold because there's a court injunction on every other process leading to, there's an attempt to injunct that process, and which is to be able to respect the court and its processes. The GFA has decided to put a hold on that so that the court will hear that injunction petition. Then they'll see if they win, then they go back. If they don't, they'll have to revise the timetable and see how best they can do things. But essentially now, Mr. George Afriyie is the one who has had news that he has been disqualified in his bid to become the next GFA president, or at least to contest Mr. Kate Iyesokwe.
Well, Fifi Manfred, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. And of course, we'll make contact with George Afriyie's camp and hope that we'll get some response from him. And Fifi, we will come back to you shortly on the Black Stars. But the head coach of the Black Stars, Chris Seaton, has been speaking ahead of that game tomorrow against Central African Republic. And he says he's optimistic that the team will be able to maintain their unbeaten record at the Barbara Sports Stadium. He said despite losing some players to injury, the team is well prepared to face Central African Republic. Well, Fifi Manfred, thanks for staying on. You monitor the Black Stars training today at the Barbara Sports Stadium. Tell me, are we ready to qualify for AFCON come next year?
As to if we are ready, I cannot really tell. But then today, the Black Stars did train like you reported. They had a tactical session, this time open to the Ghanaian public here in Kumasi. And almost everybody, there were a lot of people. I mean, if we're to do probably some form of a head count, we could count about 1,000 people at the Barbara Stadium today, meeting the players with a rousing welcome, singing their names. Andre Dedeayo, Mohamed Kudus were notable names amongst them. And they warmly welcomed here into the Barbara Sports Stadium in Kumasi for them to go ahead and play. The team they trained, so small-sided games like they did yesterday. There was a team with a babe, there was a team without a babe. Notable names in the team without babes were Mohamed Kudus, Alexander Jiku, Baba Abdurrahman, Gideon Mensah, Edmond Ado, Salis Abdul Samet, Jordan Ayew, very important, and of course Inaki Williams and Antoine Senyoni. I'm suspecting that may be the possible starting lineup for Ghana tomorrow. There is of course Lawrence Atizigi, who was imposed for them. It was a very good section. Everybody, it was calm, was gentle. Right by, after like 15 minutes to go, they had also a set piece session from both all of the coaches. Chris Houghton and his assistant helped in that as well. And they made sure that they worked on some corner kicks, some set pieces. And I think that's very important in a game like this. Set pieces may come in handy tomorrow. And I'm personally thinking that if we may get a goal, we get maybe from our outside shot or maybe a set piece.
Well, in terms of the atmosphere in Kumasi, though, should we expect full capacity at the stadium tomorrow? Because it does appear that our American brothers do treat the Black Stars very well.
I mean, there were tweets all over where people said, you know what, once it's the Black Stars, let the Kumasi people know ahead of time and we'll prepare for you. Musbao, I can confidently report to you that tomorrow I won't be shocked if we fill the Barbara Stadium to about 80 to 90% to capacity. Because from KMA, from GPRTU, from almost every other organization here in Kumasi, they are trying to solicit themselves to get tickets for people. I know people from political backgrounds who have been to various radio stations in Kumasi today in the city to say, you know what, we are buying tickets for 200 people, for 50 people, for 100 people. The KNUST students who usually used to throng the stadium have vacated for about 2 weeks now. But then they've bought tickets for some of them, especially notably the guys in Katanga and Konti. And all of them, are 500 young men, are willing to return to Kumasi by tomorrow morning and get ready at noon to be in their numbers and go there to support the Black Stars. So I'm very certain that tomorrow the Black Stars will meet a fully packed Barbara Sports Stadium.
Well, Fifi, we'll be back here same time tomorrow to talk about the game once it has been played. Fifi Manfred, thanks so much for making time with us. Let's get to boxing now. And the Black Bombers have arrived in Senegal, Dakar, ahead of their qualification bout. And before they even traveled to Senegal, and you can see them, that's when they arrived in Senegal for their qualification bout there. And if they're able to qualify, they make it to Paris 2024 Olympic Games. You can see Freezing McBones there in the Black Bombers team as they get ready to take on the world come next year. Well, that's all we have for you on Prime Sports tonight with me, Razak Musbao. Thank you so much for making time with us. Have a lovely evening.